Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Today I wanted to talk to you about how the enabler in the end looks very similar to the abuser. So let's jump in. When you meet the narcissist, they always come in as the victim, and their victimhood mentality as always coming in as the victim. They were abused by their last partner and many of their last partners, but they're just projecting whatever they were doing, probably. Sometimes they have dealt with abuse, and that's because they put themselves in horrible predicaments and horrible situations with a lot of times people that they don't even know. They have so many sexual partners and so many lies and manipulations that some people react very rudely and crudely to them, because not everybody is as nice as some of us are, or have the compassion that some of us do. They deal with people of the streets too, y'all. So when they come in as playing the victim, they do this because they don't have to burn up fuel. You're always going to be handing them something, giving them something, because you're going to be in the mode of that this person needs help. And as an empath, we as having compassion and sometimes can be in that fixer mentality would see that this person may be in desperation, may need help, and kind of it can get enacted similar to that type of situation. It's a ploy to ensnare you as well. But they don't have to use that much fuel to come in. They're always going to be able to draw off of you for anything, whether it be a victim could be down and out, and they can complain that that's why they don't have a job, that's why they don't have any money, that's why they don't have any energy, that's why they're depressed, that's why they need you. So you're always gonna that's why they come in that way. And it also makes it easy for you to trust them, and easier and quicker for the love situation to occur, because you don't feel like they're a threat. So you feel like you are the one leading this ship. So they always started off as you being the leader as well. They come in as the victim, but then shortly after that, as they gain your trust and your love and your respect and your fuel, they get pumped up and they start to ensnare you by saying you haven't been treated well. They're going to treat you the way that you should have been treated. And when they start talking like that and talking all these edifying things about you, but it's pulling you down to your ego self, because you're starting to say, yeah, I should have been treated better. It brings you down into your ego, your flesh. And as you're coming into covenant with them, your vibration and your level is equalizing. So they're coming up and you're going down. Okay? And then shortly thereafter, when they gain that fuel, that love, respect, and that trust, they start to become the leader now. And they start to become the hero of you. They're going to show you the way you should have been always treated. And they do that for a few days, and they make you feel better than ever. They make you feel kind of like whole for a minute. If you've never felt whole in your whole life, you kind of feel a sense of wholeness, like, wow, this is nice. Only to find that you'll be down to Death Valley just a few days later, maybe, or shortly thereafter. It goes down quick. You start to get devalued. You start to get controlled. You start to get all these rules placed on you. You start walking around with eggshells. You probably had them rage out a couple of times, and so you're trying to think 4 or 5 times before you say anything. And then a lot of times you don't want to address anything. See, that's part of why they do that too. They don't want you to address situations that are going to be accountability issues, because if you do, you're going to be afraid that they may rage and ghost you or leave. So then you start overthinking and walking on eggshells, and you don't address things because you want to keep the peace. Now, as that occurs, they become the leader in the situation. And this is the problem when you go into yoking with somebody, unequally yoking. Yoke is like 2 oxen with this piece of wood that ties them together so they can walk tandem as the farmer plows the field with them. So meaning that if one ox wants to go in this direction, then you have to follow because your necks are tied together. If one wants to be stubborn and stop, the other one has to stop. If the stronger one wants to keep going and you don't want to, you're forced to, because if not, you'll get your neck pulled off. And so when you're unequally yoked with somebody, what it's saying is you're getting dragged in any situation or any which way that they want to go. You're connected to them. You see, when you marry a narcissist, you're connected to them financially. When you have children with a narcissist, you're connected to them through family, through finances, through the bond of the estate of marriage, sexually, vibrationally, and you have to live and reside with them. And so they're constantly with you. So they're going to affect your vibration. Wherever they are, they're going to pull you down to that equilibrium where you guys are on the same level, you see? And so they're always going to pull you down. They're always sucking because they have negative reciprocity and they always need to be lifted up. Shortly thereafter, this is why God says don't get in covenant with unequally yoked people, because we thought it was kind of a lot lighter than it ended up we could have ever imagined. But when you're in a covenant or a relationship with the narcissist, you start to see everything at its worst level. And so this is a good and a bad thing, because it helps you to see what the epitome of evil is. And if you ever had any of these things on a lighter version, you're going to want to put them to death, because you don't ever want to be like this person, right? So if you did anything a little bit that was anything a little bit narcissistic, you're going to work on eradicating it after you leave a narcissist. This is my opinion. This is how it is for me. So really what evil truly looks like at its worst. And if you're trying to better yourself, it helps in that area. But what happens, they get you into devalue mode. Shortly thereafter, they nitpick at you. They work breaking down your self-esteem, your self-worth. And then they will do other things. They'll start towards the discard phase. They'll cheat on you. They'll ghost you. They'll give you intermittent reinforcement. They'll hit you with a stick and feed you the carrot. And this up and down and this hot and cold. And then they'll discard you. And during discard phase, then you start in your ego self, your lower self. See, your spiritual man is gone now because they pulled you into pride and ego and overcompensating. And that's what you end up doing. When you get discarded, you start running on that hamster wheel faster and faster to chase them. And that's part of what they did, is they programmed you. And then after they leave you, you're already programmed. They can control you from afar. They can control you because they're going to be the only one on your mind. They're going to isolate you because you're going to be destroyed. They're going to have you chasing them, hungry for them, and thirsty for them. You're going to answer their call on the first ring. You're going to be ready to jump up at whatever they need. And they're going to tell you that you could have been better, that you didn't treat them right, and you need to work on yourself. And maybe in the future, they're going to breadcrumb you. They're going to call you once in a while, see how you're doing. And you're going to be apologizing for no reason. Thoughts of whatever they had of who you were, you're trying to convince them that they have the wrong idea of who you are and what you represent. So you're trying to chase them and work harder and show them and overcompensate. And that's all ego, y'all. And that's your emotions, your uncontrolled emotions. And this is where you were abused as a child, these uncontrolled emotions. And when you have uncontrolled emotions, you have no self-control. And what you'll find is when you have ego death, when they talk about ego death after leaving a narcissist or dealing with a narcissist, and you get away from them and you clear your head, you get off the rumination, you go through ego death. Not always, but depending on who you are and the work you want to put in. And what ego death is killing those emotions, or bringing those emotions captive, into captivity, right? And what it says in the word, to bring those evil things, make them captive. You're the one in control. Your spirit man with the Holy Ghost is the one in control over and bringing things into captivity that are evil in your life. Shining the light on the darkness and taking control of it. Those emotions that show up during your relationship with the narcissist were the ones where you were abused as a child and used. And so when you go through ego death, you take those emotions and you form self-control to where those emotions do not have an effect on you anymore. Those emotions do not have that effect on you anymore because you brought them into captivity. And now you're thinking from your logical side. See, your spirit man is logical. And your fleshly man and your ego self and your false self, and where you can be controlled is through your emotions. That's why in your ego self, you're brought into your emotional level heavy. And when you get in control and you start putting your spirit man in control, it goes above and beyond your emotional level, your emotional field. It takes control of everything. And that's how you bring those things into captivity, meaning you put them where they need to go. You control yourself. A good individual that wants to do good and is of God is going to have good self-control. An enemy, an evildoer, is going to have the opposite. They're going to have no self-control, but they're going to control everybody and everything in their environment around them. And so I want to get at the enabler, because when you're hooked to the narcissist like a yoke, wherever they want to go, you're going to have to be dragged. If they're stronger than you, they're going to pull you, whether you like it or not. If they want to stop and they want to be stubborn, you're going to have to stop too. If they want to go to the left or to the right, you got to follow them, because you're chained to the neck with them. And that's what unequally yoked is. When you're equally yoked and you're running tandem, you both plow the field. You both plow the field, baby. You're just going. We got our mission. We're on our mission. We're not looking to the left or to the right. We're on our mission. We keep our eyes steadily on the Lord together and plow that field, knowing that we're going to reap a good harvest. You can never, ever have a blessed life when you're unequally yoked with an individual. And your future going into your fruition is always on the sand. But what did the enemy do when he was in heaven? If he didn't have enablers, he's the first narcissist. If he didn't have enablers, he would have never gotten a third of the hosts to fall with him. And because he did, now he's got an army of fallen angels, that a third of the hosts that are wreaking havoc on all humanity. They enabled the enemy. And they look just like him now. They live in the same kingdom, they work in the same field, and they're run by the same leader. And in the Garden of Eden, the enemy came in and he got in league with the serpent. Okay, he was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And I do believe possibly that Christ was the tree of life. Okay. And he got in league with the serpent. And he possessed the serpent, used the serpent to beguile Eve. So the serpent enabled Lucifer. Lucifer is not even related to a serpent. He's a cherub. He was a cherub angel. And whenever you think of the enemy, you think of a serpent, the snake, Satan. But because he went in league with Satan, the serpent did, it used to walk upright. It used to have what seems to be arms and legs. And God cursed it by having it or slither on its belly and eat dust. Seemed like they were almost at a level of humanity status at one point in the garden, and they've been forced down on their belly to crawl around or to slither around like a worm, y'all. And anytime the enemy is brought up, you always think of a snake, because that enabler is so connected to Satan. It's almost as if they're the same individual. So you don't want to be the enabler, because when you are aiding and abetting, feeding, backing them up, enabling the enemy to go out and wreak havoc not only on your own soul, but everybody else's out there, and to come home for you to feed them, pay the power bill, give them a warm bed to sleep in, and food to eat, you almost look just like the enemy. So that's all for today. I hope you can give me a like, subscription, and a thumbs up. Till next time, sold you up. Peace, we out.